LA Knight should win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at Clash in Paris. And I know it's a long shot, but in today's video, we're going to talk about exactly why I think LA Knight should walk out of Clash in Paris as the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So I ask if you guys are new here to like this video and also be sure to subscribe to the channel for more hot takes like this one. So without further ado, let's hop directly into the video. So I want to start with fact number one, and the fact here is that Seth Rollins did just win the World Heavyweight Championship. He cashed in his Money in the Bank contract, and I understand it was the ruse of the century, and I understand that right now with the Vision, it is working out really well. So I'll be honest and say that there is more potential for Seth Rollins to retain his World Heavyweight Championship, but there is more here, and I think if you want to get a little more tweaky with things, I think this is what you can do. You see, I am a firm believer that right now the storyline that they are building between CM Punk and LA Knight is starting to spark things out of me. It's starting to intrigue me. Now, going back in history, obviously Seth Rollins and CM Punk have done everything, and obviously the main feud is CM Punk and Seth Rollins, but I'm really starting to get a grab here that LA Knight is going to turn heel in some sense. And I think if you want to really have him pop as a heel, giving him the World Heavyweight Championship would ultimately work because it now allows the CM Punk LA Knight storyline to kind of furthermore, and trust me, I get it. I am in the minority as well that CM Punk and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 42 in the main event, it makes sense. But I think if you want to do a side quest, this is one way to do so. You can ultimately have Punk win it back. You can have Seth Rollins win it back. But I think to ultimately culminate LA Knight, everything that he's done up to this point, you have him turn heel and you have him win that World Heavyweight Championship. And you let him and Punk have a pretty decent feud, going into the Royal Rumble, etc., etc. LA Knight has been snubbed out of so many things. And let's be honest, for a very long time, he has been one of the more over characters in WWE. Whether it had been when WWE had moved over from the Vince McMahon era, they changed his name from, what was it, Max Dupree over to LA Knight. He had been one of the more over characters with the catchphrase, yeah, and going out there and just really making the crowd pop. Ultimately, WWE did give him a United States Championship run, but at the end of the day, it didn't do everything because no different than the Intercontinental Championship, the United States Championship was supposed to catapult LA Knight into that world title scene, but it felt like every time he got thrown into the world title scene, it was just, quote-unquote, never his time. Now, this feels like robbery in my eyes. And the reason why is because they had him go into the Money in the Bank numerous times, and he felt like the person to win it. And ultimately, WWE never decided to pull the trigger. Instead, what they'd do is they'd give it to somebody like Damian Priest, and you'd question yourself and be like, why? Well, that didn't make sense. Or they'd give it to Seth Rollins, and you're like, okay, well, I guess it makes sense. But at the end of the day, I would have preferred it to be LA Knight. So LA Knight, no different than a guy like Drew McIntyre, has just been robbed out of so many situations. It's gone as far as him, liking comments on Instagram saying, like, I'm not happy with the way that LA Knight is currently being booked. Why isn't he in the main event scene, etc., etc. He's gone out and liked some of these comments, tweets, etc., etc. LA Knight is somebody that we all want to rally behind. We really do. He is a guy that is refreshing to the eye. He's not somebody that is fully indulged in the main event scene. And I get it. They tried things out with Jey Uso and it didn't work. So they're probably a little nervous to pivot away from Seth and Punk. But truth be told, I feel like LA Knight, looking back in history, go back and look at his Global Impact, whatever championship that he won, the TNA World Championship. Go back and look at that run. He did really well. In fact, it was a great title run for a company that wasn't doing so hot at the time. LA Knight in history has been able to hold championships and elevate talent further. And that's what you want out of a world champion. And don't get me wrong, I understand that Seth Rollins is ultimately doing that himself. And I know people are going to say, well, we got to get to him and Braun Breaker. I don't think you have to do that for the title. I'll be honest with you. I think Braun Breaker just needs to beat Seth Rollins later down the line. You don't have to have that beef for the world championship. As much as I'd like it, you don't have to do that. Instead, you give it to LA Knight and let LA Knight go on a little run with it. Let him, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, let all of them feud over that title for the course of, we'll say, 8 months to a year. This is one of those times where 8 months to a year would be okay. I would not be against it. In fact, I would be more prominent to say, like, I don't hate that. I don't. But WWE still, at the end of the day, probably will not do this. This is something that I must say is WWE has been so afraid to pivot away. They're scared. They're scared of the unknown. And that is something that I must make clear in this video while making it, because as badly as I think LA Knight should win, is as bad as WWE won't allow him to win. They'll just continue rolling with the same thing over and over and over again, because at the end of the day, it sells tickets and it puts asses in seats. So, you beg the question, is WWE ever going to pull the trigger on LA Knight? And if not, what do you do with him? Because after this, it feels like if he doesn't win here, we'll just say, for example, he doesn't win, what does he do next? What do? You stick him in a feud with CM Punk up until the Royal Rumble, no title involved, and he's just kind of the same LA Knight that he was. And that after the CM Punk feud, then what? Move him to SmackDown and hope for the best? No, you can't do that. You can't. If you really want to get tricky with it, here's a course of action for WWE. Put him back on SmackDown. Why'd you put him on Raw in the first place? You can have him turn heel and go face Cody Rhodes. There you go. Problem solved. It's asinine to me, and truthfully, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, it makes zero sense that WWE, for a guy as big as LA Knight, has absolutely nothing other than this for him to do. It felt like they just kind of stuck him here because they had no other option. A Fatal 4-Way sounded better than just Seth versus Punk right here. They had to give you the Fatal 4-Way. Like, come on, man. And granted, I get it. This past Monday on Raw, they had Jey Uso, super kick, CM Punk, blah, 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 every man for himself, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I understand. At the end of the day, you're still pulling away from LA Knight, and you're still ultimately hurting him in the end. So I think to get LA Knight back on track, the thing to do here is you give him the World Championship. Because right now, the character of LA Knight needs it badly. He does. He needs it very badly. Let's be honest with each other. It's true. I don't know. This is just a thought that I had in my mind, and I was like, man, I need to put this out. I need to let people know about this. And I can imagine I'll probably get flamed all through the comment section, which is, hey, that's okay. Just comment on the video. They'll probably flame me through the comment section, but at the end of the day, the truth is, it doesn't hurt for WWE to try new things, even if it's in a short span, right? Because the World Heavyweight Championship was never built to be the one to go have a 12-month, 14, 18-month run with. It was supposed to be the workhorse title. It's supposed to be the one that kind of bobbles back and forth. You never know who's going to keep it. That was what that title was for, where the WWE Championship was, quote-unquote, more prestigious and more honored in that sense. But at the end of the day, this is WWE's way of being able to fix the LA Knight situation that they currently have. So WWE, if you have some balls, I'll tell you right now, go put the World Heavyweight Championship on LA Knight. Do it. Do it. What are you afraid of? What are you scared of? At the end of the day, what is pulling at you? What is pulling at you? What is hurting you to do this? Nothing. Just because you had the quote-unquote ruse of the century doesn't mean that you can't try new things, even if it's just a month after. So, that's my hot take for the day. That's my own personal hot take. Give LA Knight the World Heavyweight Championship. Let him run with the ball and let him go do his thing. But you guys can flame me down in the comments section below. I'll leave that all up to you guys. At the end of the day, I am just a YouTuber. And what do I know about pro wrestling? Nothing, probably. So, I ask if you guys are new, like this video. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel. My name is Billy TKO. LA Knight should be the new world champion at Clash in Paris. We'll see. I want to say that's it. That's all I have. I'll be talking to you guys in the next one. Peace.